Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Art of MMA. I'm your host, Mike Ginn. Of course, joining me as always, the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
Man, it's always good to talk some fights with you on a Wednesday.
And if Brandon's looking a little extra relaxed, if you follow his social media, he just got back from the Dominican Republic. So you got Wellness Wednesday, trip to the DR, and then he's about to go in grind mode because, of course, December 11th might be a big day in the MMA world for Oliveira and Poirier, but it's also a big day in our world because the mechanic steps back into the professional kickboxing ring at USKA in Allentown. So we'll be talking more about that all over social media as we get closer to Brandon's fight. Of course, also, was it next week, November 20th, you do your part-time job?
This Saturday, yeah. This Saturday,
yeah. Your part-time job, hopping over UWA Elite and chin-checking some other fool who should not be anywhere near a ring with you. Man,
it's fun time.
I feel like I lost these 10 pounds for nothing. Nobody called me. Nobody's like, Mike, show up. Nothing. Brandon's not even acknowledging my promos anymore. That's cool. This episode, we're going to be talking about everything that happened last week. Of course, UFC Vegas 42. Holloway and Rodriguez put on another classic. We had an upset in the co-main event with Rogério de Lima knocking off Rothwell. We'll talk about that. Over in Bellator, Cyborg did what Cyborg does. Just another victim. We had somewhat of an upset in the co-main event in that one as well. We'll talk about that with Linton Vassell, Aaron Pico, Arlene Blenkow, all that great stuff happening over at Bellator 271. And then we'll turn our attention. We'll hop into the news. We'll hop into our rant and then finish off talking about Caitlin Vieira versus Miesha Tate in the main event this week for UFC. We do have a couple announcements real quick before we get started. First and foremost, this episode and every episode on the Fighters First Network. If you haven't already taken a chance, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment on every episode. We love to interact with the fans. We like to build a community, whether it's here, Twitter, our new Instagram. That link is in the bio as well. I've already talked about the Instagram thing at length, so I'll leave it alone. But check out the link in the description, and we'll go ahead and get you over to our Instagram where we can have a community and talk about it and build. That said, FightersFirst.shop. Get all the latest merch. You want to rep Brandon for his fight? Get all his merch right there, FightersFirst.shop. The other bit of news real quick is this is our last episode for the season. Art of MMA is not going anywhere, but we are going to revamp it brand new for 2022. I'm going to work on that over the next month, kind of come back with a little bit of fire. The holidays are a busy time for me. Obviously, Brandon's training for a fight, and we're going to do a couple other fun things that we're trying to work on between now and then to get you a little bit more content. Obviously, the network's full of content all the time, so you're not missing out on content. But we want to come back fresh, do some brand new ideas and a couple new things for 2022. So we'll announce that on our social media as time gets closer. So just pay attention. Follow us at Art of MMA, The Art of MMA on Twitter, Art of MMA Official on Instagram, obviously at Fighters First on Twitter. And we'll make all those announcements as they get closer. But that said, that was a mouthful. Sorry. Whew. Brandon, you ready to talk about some fights?
Yes, sir.
All right. UFC Vegas 42, Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez. We didn't know 100% what to expect with Rodriguez being off for the last couple years. We did know what to expect from Max Holloway, and we kind of got exactly what I thought was going to happen. Holloway Rodriguez went to war, 5 rounds. Both guys pretty much went to the hospital. Max jumped into the ambulance afterwards. Like, there's a brotherhood bond now between Holloway and Rodriguez. They put on a 5-round classic. I thought in my mind it was 49-46 Max. I could see 48-47 the first and 5th round going for Rodriguez. Brandon, what did you think of everything?
Hey, man. Hey, Max Holloway is Max Holloway. Like I said, to me, he's still one of the top 145ers, if not the top 145 in the UFC. Not going to say in the whole world because you know who my guy is.
Guy?
Yeah. AJ McKee, but we'll see if that ever scraps down. But
blank. We know who you say when you say that guy.
Yeah. But now, I mean, hey, man, Yair Rodriguez, I'm saying, man, for being off, for 2 years, he definitely had his stock go up. I kind of really want to say, kind of like Michael Chandler. Yes, he lost, but really, did he really lose? Did his stock really go up? From that L. Like saying, more people are going to be paying attention to Yair. People now have all these different matchups in their head who they would like to see him fight. But like I was saying, man, dude, coming off 2 years like that, and then he came out like a house of fire. Like, to me, in my mind, I think he took the first and fifth round. 3 and 4 was definitely for Max. As that second round was kind of like the swing round. Like saying, Yair, he had those good calf kicks, those good leg kicks. He had the power. Like say, most people are looking at that. Damage and everything like that. But then, Max, he just has the volume. He started to pick up his output in the later half of the second round, which is what I think the judges saw, and that's why they really gave him the second round, and that's why Max gets 2, 3, and 4. He gets his hand raised.
Yeah, I thought arguably you could have given Max all 5 rounds, depending how you score fights. I think Yair had the more volume in the first round. By punch stat numbers, you kind of got to give him by volume. Max had more punch stats throughout the other 4 rounds. Max landed the cleaner shots in the first round, whereas some of those leg kicks, some of those head kicks and stuff that Yair was throwing up with power kind of were a little bit more flashy. Yair Rodriguez kept slipping and falling throughout the entire fight. I don't know if it was the same thing as the mat with UFC 268 that we talked about in New York, but he did keep falling, and sometimes it would be at the same time as Max kind of jabbing him to kind of like knock him off balance when he throws some of these kicks. But most of the time they were slips, which then ended up with Max jumping right on top, kind of showing off he does have a ground game that people kind of underrate quite a bit. Rodriguez is lethal with his legs. Like, I don't think I ever really realized in others' fights, because he doesn't use them as much. He always threw kicks, but from his up kicks on his back, the way he would try to throw in submissions with his legs, Rodriguez has a very dangerous set of legs on him. Like, he tried to put on heel hooks, like everything. And Max just showed his poise and being able to get out certain things. My problem with Max, I think I discovered more in this fight from his win than I did in his losses that he had earlier in his career, or even a few years ago. Obviously, the 2 losses to Volkanovski, even though the second one is very questionable. The 2 losses to Dustin Poirier. Max has never been stopped since 2012, I believe it was, the first time he lost to Poirier and got submitted. Every other loss has been a decision. One thing we've been able to say with Max, you saw it in the Calvin Kattar fight. You've seen it in the Volkanovski fights. He can take a ton of damage. Like, Max seems to be like a tank sometimes. He doesn't mind getting hit. It even kind of reminded me when we were talking last week about Shane Burgos. Max he takes a ton of damage to deal out more damage. His face wasn't really as messed up as it was until he went into the 5th round, and he could have kind of coasted and won the fight, but he still went to war with him and got caught by some more elbows, got caught by some more kicks, and next thing you know, his face is a bloody mess just like Yair's. But that's who Max Holloway is. I think he sometimes gets too attached to a certain move. I noticed a lot in this fight. Like, if he notices the right hand's landing, he'll throw it a lot more. If he notices the flying knees working, he'll start going more to that. He tends to go to the well quite a bit until it gets broken, and then he goes to something different. But Max is such an all-round athlete, such an all-round performer. There's nowhere you can beat him. You can't beat him on the ground. You can't beat him on the feet. Volkanovski came out this week afterwards and was like, Max basically looked beatable. He keeps getting into these wars. He's taking years off his career. I think Volkanovski's going to have a very hard time if they do eventually meet in the trilogy earlier in 2022. That's my aspect. And I think you're right. And Rodriguez said it himself. His stock is elevated a lot by losing to Max Holloway because he proved he could hang with him. So that right there, now you have more exciting fights in the 145-pound division with Rodriguez now making noise. One name I'd like to see right off the bat is maybe him and Zombie running it back, because he was 1 second away from losing to Zombie until he hit him with that 4 minutes and 59 seconds like elbow that knocked him out. We pretty much think it's Volkanovski next for Max Holloway. What do you think?
I mean, Max Holloway isn't really saying his name. Max Holloway's talking about Conor McGregor. Max Holloway's talking
whoever they want to put in front of him.
Exactly. I mean, Max Holloway's talking about boxers and everything like that. So I mean, I really don't know. Like in my head, like I feel like Max Holloway's talking about, really he's kind of talking about maybe leaving 145 and maybe finally making the permanent jump to 155. You know, I guess like I said, I guess it depends on if they give him the title shot or not. Like I said, I'm really not sure. Like saying, man, you're just listening to Max talk, and to me, like saying, he's not really talking about a title fight. It doesn't really look like that's on his radar. You know, like I say, he's talking about Conor McGregor. He's talking about boxing. You know, he's talking about other people except for
Conor was sitting there pacing in front of the screen, like pretending like he's getting ready to match up.
Yeah.
With Max.
So. I mean, so like I said, I mean, I don't know if Max has something going on or what, but I mean, who knows what's really next for him except for maybe the UFC brass. They're the ones who got something on their mind, but to me, it doesn't really look like it could be Volkanovski. It could be somebody else for him.
Yeah, I think he kind of said after the fight immediately, like, you know, there's Sean Shelby, there's all those guys, let them do their job, basically. Whoever they want, he'll face. He doesn't care. Whether it's McGregor, whether it's Volkanovski, whoever it is, I think he's down for whatever. So I feel like Max is kind of getting that DJ treatment where we're seeing him on ABC. We're seeing him on fight night cards. I'd like to see Max headline in the pay-per-view and get some of that money. I think he deserves it. He did come off 2 straight losses, and now he's bounced back with 2 straight mega wins. So Max is definitely back to doing Max Holloway type things. And as he says, the blessed era, you know, you want Max Holloway, you got to come fight him. So we'll see what's next for him. I think it is kind of up in the air a little bit. I think most experts think it's Volkanovski. Volkanovski thinks it's him. So we'll see. I think McGregor's more interested in whatever the biggest money fight is, or trying to get his hands on Poirier one more time. So we'll see. There's a lot to be had. There's also a lot more. McGregor might be training and doing some other things, but he still has a ways to go with his recovery. So we'll see with that in that broken leg. As far as Yair Rodriguez, I think there's an entire 145-pound division now that'd be interested in fighting him. Zombie's right there next to him in the rankings. I know he would love that rematch. Calvin Kattar's right there. Arnold Allen's right there. There's a lot of names that could be fun fights because they know Rodriguez is going to show up and bring it. So real quick before we move on, who do you think Rodriguez should fight next? Ortega.
That's my number 1 pick. Ortega. They're both coming off L's. You know, so I think that's who it could be. I know Calvin Kattar is fighting my boy Giga. So I mean, he's out right now. But I mean, I know that he needs time to
January, right?
To heal up.
February.
Yeah. I'm saying I know. Yeah, you're to heal up. But hey, if you want to give a fight for somebody else who's on the list, hey man, I wouldn't mind seeing Yair Rodriguez versus my boy Shane Burgos. I'll take that fight.
That's a good one too. I think it's gonna be another bloodbath, personally, but I think that's what fans want to see, though. I think Yair is probably gonna be on the shelf for at least 3 months, maybe longer, because of medical suspensions. So we'll see. I think Max might even be on the shelf for like 3 months because of medical suspensions. So we'll see how that plays out. Over in the co-main event, we had a little bit of an upset. Markos Ojero de Lima with the TKO over Ben Rothwell. Your boy Herb Dean in the news again. I know
this man, you don't even want to talk about the fight, man. You just want to talk about Herb Dean, man. Yo, we can talk about Herb Dean. Let's just get it over with. You know it. Oh, is Herb Dean the best ref or not? All right, fine, man. Yo, Herb Dean, man, the worst thing you can be in a ref is indecisive, Herb Dean was a little indecisive on this one. Yes, he did touch him, and then he said, "Nah, I didn't touch you," type of deal. But it's like, nah, you touched him. Should have stopped it. Live with it. Make the mistake. Jason Herzog, you're now the top guy. Herb Dean, you taking a step back. All right, it is what it is.
Whoa.
All right, whatever.
Whoa.
Yo, I still like Herzog. I still like Herb Dean. They're still my guys. Ref. I'll still take either one of them as a ref for me.
Has Brandon the Mechanic Cuttino finally broken? Are you broken?
Man, no, yo, man. Yo, Herb Dean, man.
I didn't say a word, and you actually just threw Herb Dean.
Because I know that's where you want to go, man. You always want to bring up Herb Dean, man. I'm saying, man, dude, it's supposed to be art of MMA fighters first, but it seems like, man, it might be reps first over here because you always want to talk about the reps, my guy. So that's what we're doing.
Oh, my goodness. Man, you surprised me with that one. I'm actually glad you said that. Back to the fight. Anyway.
To talk about the fight, man. The fight was over in like 26 seconds. It's a wrap. Yo, Ben Rafael came out.
32 seconds, okay?
I'm saying, man, Ben Rafael came out a little slow. The Lima got those hands going, man. We knew, to me, Rafael, the bigger guy, taller guy, use his weight, has his jiu-jitsu, take him down, ground and pound him, get your submission. Lima got the hand speed. He's more of the striker anyway. And that's how the fight played out. He got those hands going. He had that hand speed going, caught Rafael, boom. Done.
I mean, come on. Big guys doing big guy things, right? Like heavyweights can end at any given time. I don't think Rothwell really debated the stoppage too much. We said it last week. Both of us kind of thought, Rothwell's ground game and submission game would probably be the difference in this one if he wanted to take him down and kind of like play with him a little bit. We were both wrong about that one. By the way, picks people at home, I went 3-2 last week. Wasn't my greatest week. But if we're going to finish the year on a high note.
This guy. That's why we're taking a hiatus, so you get on a high note. I see you.
Well, technically, we got a little bit more picks coming later, so you can actually finish the year on a high note. You're still finishing the year as a lead dog, so whatever. Anyway, back to the fight. Rogero delivered the blow, had Rothwell pretty much knocked out. Herb Dean hesitated a little bit, touched him, didn't touch him, whatever the case is. Went in. Eventually, Rogero turned to him because he was touched. And then Herb was like, all right, I have to stop the fight now because I already touched the fighter. But it was a good stoppage. I think Rothwell was like he was on the ground, but he was just not like really knowing where he was. So it'll be a good stoppage. Of course, Dana even came out later, basically it was like, I like Herb. He's been a great ref for a long time. You can't keep touching his fighters. You can't be indecisive. You got to make a decision. Funkmaster came out and blasted Herb Dean. Dan Hardy, of course, came out and blasted Herb Dean. And a number of other people jumped on him. But none quite like my boy, Brandon the Mechanic Cuttino, who just bashed Herb Dean. This is on video, people. I want you to clip that and put it all over the social media that Brandon Cuttino finally acknowledged that Herb Dean is not perfect.
I didn't say it was, but all right.
Elsewhere on the card, Felicia Spencer holding it down for that 145-pound division. Herman and Norma Dumont doing what they can to keep it alive until Amanda says, I'll defend it one more time. We'll see. But Felicia taking care of business against Leah Letson with a TKO. My pick went sideways real quick. Chaos Williams just kind of seemed to beat Beza to the punch quite a bit in that fight. Got the third round stoppage. Some people question whether they could have let it keep going, but even Chaos said, people die in this ring. People die in the cage. That was a good stoppage because it would have just got worse. So Chaos Williams, who we always know has a puncher's chance. We thought Beza maybe had the more all-around game, but ended up being a stand-up war, and Chaos did what he did and took care of business. You want to tell people real quick about what happened to Julio Arce?
I mean, it's really nothing to say, man, besides, he got caught. He got rocked, and then it got stopped. I mean, it was a good stoppage. He kind of lost his legs, went down. But like I said, it's the fight game. Things happen. He'll be back. I saw him yesterday on Tuesday. He seemed to be in good spirits. So we'll just see what's next for him.
Yeah, I've seen a couple things he's posted on social media. It seems to be handling it pretty gracefully. If you fight long enough, stuff's going to happen. He's been involved in a bunch of wars too. I knew he was in trouble when he kind of went down like that because he's been hit by a lot of things in this business, and he tends to just keep on coming at you. And he didn't keep coming this time, and I was like, he's in trouble. Of course, we were rooting for Julio. I've interviewed him on the network, Brandon's teammate, but Yadong Song has always been a very, very tough competitor, and we knew this was going to be a pretty good fight coming in. So he got the TKO win in the second round. One that kind of surprised me, I don't know what the trek of Cynthia Calvillo is going right now. She's lost a few in a row now. This one, the corner stopped the fight between the rounds. Andrea KGB Lee was just kind of hammering her. Calvillo went from a possible title contender to moving up a division because she couldn't make weight, and now she just seems to be out of her element. I don't know if maybe diet and nutrition might help her out if she can start making that lower weight again, but this weight class, she seems to be just kind of getting just beaten up. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Brandon? You're the king of the lady fighters.
I mean, I know she changed camps and everything like that. Like I said, she used to hang out with Team Alpha Male. I can't remember where she's at now. But I know that she changed. Like I said, she changed divisions, changed gyms. I mean, I really don't know what's up with her. I mean, I don't know if it could be just, the competition is just, it's just out there now for her. They're a little bit better. Like, she's taking jumps. Fighting tougher opposition, and it's just not going her way.
Yeah, I think she's at Tiger Muay Thai out in San Jose right now. But yeah, she's been on a very downward spiral, and she's always had really good tough fights. So hopefully she bounces back eventually, but she might be doing it in a different promotion because Dana kind of seemed to hint that she might be one of the people on the way out. Sean Woodson got the knockout over Colin England. I actually thought England might be able to pull off the upset on that one, but those body shots were vicious by Woodson. Took care of business. Courtney Casey with a win over Juja. Juja came in, of course, overweight. Casey thought she did it on purpose, but didn't have much problems hammering out a 30-27 win. So Rafael Alves with the win over Mark Diakisi. I actually was surprised by that one. He got the guillotine win in the first round. I thought Diakisi was going to win that fight coming in. But Rafael Alves had a different opinion on that one, obviously. And then the last fight, I was actually surprised by this one, too. I thought Kennedy and Njoku could get the upset, but no. Dun Jung got the win with the elbows in the first round. Big knockout. Brandon, anything else stand out to you on that card?
Nah, man. It's just like 2 weeks in a row, man. We had some bangers, with the Gaethje Chandler fight and the Holloway Rodriguez fight. So, let's just keep on going. Yeah,
I mean, and then of course it's not over yet. Of course, we got one more event this weekend, and of course the big one on December 11th with Oliveira and Poirier for the lightweight title, and then of course your favorite fight, Nunez Pena, in the co-main event. But that's another story for another time. Let's go ahead and move on to Bellator 271.
Yeah, man. Bellator is where it's at.
I like the little segue. You should do that every time. Bellator 271, Cyborg versus Kavanagh. The main event was not much to talk about. Cyborg from the get-go just kind of came out, hammered her. She kind of missed on a wild punch, got her back to the cage, and then she just came out with a counter punch and knocked her out. She hit her with a couple just beautiful hooks in a row. I hate to say, what did you think of the fight? What did you think of the assault on Kavanagh?
Hey, man, Cris Cyborg just, to me, she's must-see TV. Like, if she's fighting, I'm down to watch it. I mean, she brings the violence. I love it. I mean, hey, man, her opponent, Kavanagh, she wasn't backing down. She came to fight. She was throwing, but it just didn't go her way. So I'm happy Cyborg got the win. Saying, man, she's somebody who is I don't know, I guess you want to say like, she's up there, a living legend. You get to watch a talent like that perform. That's what you want to do. You want to see them in their greatness. So I'm always down to watch her fight.
Yeah, I mean, she's one of the last female pioneer fighters still going. I guess you could say Misha Tate as well, but as far as that era of like all the way back to Gina Carano and Cyborg, of the female, like the ones that really kind of made an impact. Scott Coker's been at the forefront of female fighting way before Dana and UFC ever was. Like for a long time, Dana said women would never fight the UFC until Ronda Rousey made a big name, and eventually he kind of had to fold. And now it's a huge part of what the UFC does. In fact, they're even main eventing this weekend coming up. But Scott Coker's always been ahead of the curve with Marlos Conan, obviously Cyborg. So he always has never been hesitant to throw them in the main event. Cyborg with just a beautiful knockout, doing what she does. Fight before that, she pulled out a submission for the first time in her career. So at this point, I think she's just kind of entertaining herself on how to be competitive with somebody. As far as what's next for Cyborg, she left it in the hands originally of Scott Coker. She's like, that's what they get paid to do. Scott Coker make that decision. Obviously, Kayla Harrison was in the crowd that night. She was on the big screen. She was interviewed before, after, talked to Scott Coker. They're definitely trying to be in the Kayla Harrison business. She was at UFC the week before, so maybe she's trying to create like a bidding war between the promotions. But the must-see fight to make in the eyes of many fans is Kayla versus Cyborg. Now, in-house, the people that actually are under contract for Bellator, the name that pops up, and Brandon said it a few times on this show in the months past, Kat Zingano. Kat Zingano came over from the UFC. She kind of got cut for dubious reasons from the UFC. People remember she was supposed to do the Halle Berry movie. She didn't want to fight because she didn't want to get hurt or something before the movie. Because she didn't fight, they cut her. Then she didn't get to do the movie because she wasn't a UFC fighter, and the Halle Berry movie is basically like licensed through the UFC, like with Valentina and a bunch of other fighters in there. So Kat got screwed out of the whole thing. She goes signs with Bellator. She wins a few fights. Now she's in the Cyborg business. She called her out, said, name a location. I'm there. Cyborg responds yesterday, LA, or January, LA, Scott Coker, make it happen. So you might finally be getting your wish. We might be seeing Kat and Cyborg in January in LA, because I'm sure if that's what Cyborg wants, I'm almost 100% sure that's what Scott's going to make. And then if Cyborg takes care of business, then maybe we see the Kayla fight some point, later the year. Kayla's already said she's going to take a couple months off anyway because, she just got the finalization of the adoption. She's had the kids now for over a year, and Christmas is here, and she wants to spend like a big holiday with them. So I'm sure early 2022 we'll have an idea of where Kayla's going to end up. We might even find out sometime in the next month. But the bidding war has begun. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, man. Let's see what happens, man. I'm kind of tired of people trying to get on Cyborg, man. I hear it in the media where people are trying to get on Cyborg because basically after the fight, she didn't call out for Kayla Harrison, and it's just like, why? What's the point? It's like she basically said it. She said, "Yo, if she signs, we'll make the fight happen," but she's not here yet. Like, I get it. Like, I think somebody was trying to get on her because I guess a couple of months ago, she was trying to talk about, oh, we need to do a co-promotion, UFC, Bellator, so she can get that Amanda Nunes fight. You know what? Yeah, that was a while ago. Maybe what happened was she got smart. She realized, what's the point of me doing this? Everybody else is getting the clout except for me. You think about it. All that time when she was in the UFC, even before the UFC, she came out and said, I want to fight Ronda Rousey. I want to fight Ronda Rousey. Everybody would get on her about it. Everybody would get on Dana White about it. But you know what? Nobody ever got on Ronda Rousey about it. And Ronda Rousey would always say, oh, why don't you just come down to 135, then we'll fight. But she would never say, oh, I'll meet you at 140 or anything like that. People get on Cris Cyborg about everything, but nobody ever gets on the other people. Like, nobody was getting on Amanda Nunes when the rematch never happened. Amanda Nunes wasn't calling for a rematch with Cris Cyborg, So the thing is, now the thing is too, I don't hear Kayla Harrison saying, oh, I want to fight Cris Cyborg. Kayla Harrison is saying nothing, but people don't get her about it.
She said it. She said it that night. She said the biggest honor she could pay towards Cyborg, how great Cyborg is. She did it in a bunch of interviews that night. She said, I think her exact words were something like, the biggest respect I can show to Cyborg is that I do want to fight her. I want to fight the best. I want to fight Cyborg. She's a legend. She was completely respectful. And of course, what you're referring to is in all the post press conferences, Cyborg for her part was, I'm not giving Kayla shine. This is my moment.
Yeah. But the thing is, it was like, yo, Kayla, if you want to fight her, then sign. That's it. That's what Cyborg said. Cyborg says, like, yo, if she signs, yo, we'll make the fight happen. But I'm not gonna talk about it now because things like, I think Cyborg has just realized is like every time she goes for these fights or she talks about it, stuff like that, either like they don't happen, and then she's the one just being left behind. But then people like forget about it because for some reason it's like people to me use Cyborg as like the stepping stone, and they like discredit her for all these fights, but then because my thing is like, why is it like people get on Cyborg for like, say, this last fight, but they don't want to get on Kayla Harrison on the people that she's fighting, like they want to talk about Cyborg's fighting, as you want to call cans, but Kayla Harrison is doing the same exact thing, but nobody's really going to every time they're saying like, oh, Kayla Harrison's so dominant, she's so great. Cyborg does it like, yeah, Cyborg, who is she really fighting? It's like, dude, like it can't be one way and then the other one, and then you try to paint it rosy for the other one. It's like, yo, they're both doing the same thing. They fight who they fight in their companies, and it's like, yo, Kayla Harrison, you want to come down to 145? Let's do it. Or man, I bet you Cyborg would fight that girl at 150 or 155. Cyborg probably wouldn't even care. Cyborg has no problem going up.
You wouldn't have to cut weight then, yeah.
Yeah, so my thing is like, I'm with Cyborg. It's like, yo, let the fight. If Scott Coker says he's going to aggressively go after her, so let's see what happens. But I mean, yo, to me, Kayla Harrison is like you said, man. To me, she's playing a game, bidding war out here. Whoever's going to pay her the money, like I said, we're prize fighters. She's, she has kids now, so she definitely is going to be watching her money. But to me, I think if you're truly about competition and you want to fight the best, Bellator's where you want to go. They have a bigger, better 145 division. If you're going to the UFC, all you really have, because you want to talk about competition, is Amanda Nunes. They're teammates. I don't think they're really going to fight. If they do, okay. If they do fight, that's one fight. Then who are you really going to fight? Do you really want to see her against Felicia Spencer? No. Maybe Norma Dumont, maybe, but do you
I'd
really
be interested in the Dumont fight?
Huh?
I would be really interested in the Dumont fight. I think Dumont looks great.
Yeah. But I'm saying, to me, you go to Bellator, you'll have Kat Zingano, you got Cyborg, you got Arlene Blinkhout, Same.
Another name that's been thrown out there lately is a lot of people are hoping that Scott signs Megan Anderson.
Yeah, I mean, me. I've been saying that for a while. Either I think Megan Anderson should either go there, or to me, I was saying when free agent was happening, I was like, yo, PFL 155, same thing for her. She doesn't have to cut that weight. She's a tall woman. 145 could be rough for her, but 155 could be easier for her. So I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens. But to me, I'm just like, man, I know people be trying to get on Cyborg about like, oh, she didn't really say that she wanted to fight her. Well, bro, like Max Holloway didn't really say he wanted to fight Volkanovski, but they're not really trying to get on Max about it. It's like, come on, guys. Like this.
Man, we had to wait a whole year to get 2 giant rants out of Brandon. This is the most animated you've been forever. I love it.
Oh man, it's just man. I've been down with Cyborg since I mean she popped on the scene, and just people just trying to discredit her because she took an L to Nunes. And then out of nowhere now, oh, she's not even top 2, she's top 3, because now people want to say that, oh, Shevchenko's better than her. And it's like really? Like, get out of here, man. Oh, who she fought? Oh, man, get out with this garbage, man. Yo, Cyborg smashing everybody.
Well, in fairness, I don't think she beats Amanda if they fight again either.
Bro. You know what? Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, man, because this is what I want to bring up. Honestly, I think Cyborg does beat Nunes. I've been Cyborg before. But tell me this, man. Why didn't Nunes ask for the rematch as well? How come Nunes didn't want that rematch? You know what?
I've heard Amanda, especially when Cyborg was still under contract, I've heard Amanda say she'd be interested in running it back.
Yeah.
But I don't think Amanda, first of all, and we're getting way sidetracked on the rest of this Bellator card, so we'll change gears in a second. I don't think Amanda has ducked anybody, first and foremost. I think Amanda Nunes has fought whoever she's been put in front of. She's done it in 2 different weight divisions, and she is right now the pound for pound best, and she has a win over Cyborg. If you have a win, you shouldn't be the one chasing the rematch. The person that has the loss should be the one chasing the rematch. You got to at least agree with that, right?
But no, I know. But this actually, no, this is what I want to get to, right? Because this is going to go back to your boy, Dana White. How come Cyborg didn't get the rematch against Amanda Nunes when Cyborg was a dominant champion, doing her thing, dropping everybody, takes one L, doesn't get a rematch? But Weili Zhang, she got knocked out in the first round, head kick. She really wasn't as dominant as Cyborg, but she gets a rematch again.
Well, that kind of goes back. First of all, you know very well, you know why. That goes back to the fact that Dana never wanted to be in the Cyborg business. He only did it because of just fan outcry, and he wanted, like, all right, fine, we'll bring her in, we'll make some money off of her. Her fight contract was up. He couldn't wait to be out of the Cyborg business. We all know that. He didn't want to deal with the weight cuts. He didn't want to deal with at one point she was managed by Tito Ortiz, which obviously that's bad blood with Dana. So there was a number of behind-the-scenes things that really led Cyborg down a different path behind the scenes than what we saw in front of the camera. As far as Cyborg's ever been involved, she's fought anybody and everybody that's been put in front of her if she can make the weight. She tried to get down to 140 pounds one time for a catchweight fight, damn near killed herself. It's a famous video. You can still see it on YouTube of her trying to cut weight. She's just too muscular. She can't do it. Ronda Rousey had the same philosophy. I'm the champ. Why should I adjust for you? If you want this fight, come get me. But what we're talking about here and now, I think it's clear Amanda's number one, and I think it's clear the Cyborg is number two, in my opinion. Kayla and Valentina can fight for 3 and 4. I think Valentina's clearly 3 because she's fought tougher competition. And what we're talking about here is Kayla Harrison. She has the world in her palm right now. She could sign with UFC for big money. She could sign with Bellator for big money. Both are going to provide at least temporary competition upgrade from what she had in PFL. But you also have to remember, PFL season next year, for one, she could go back and win another $1 million. She does have the kids now. And Ray's constantly saying he wants her back for another year. What if they do sign a Megan Anderson? What if Clarissa Shields continues to evolve and, hops in that tournament? What if Abigail Montez, who beat Clarissa Shields, is in that tournament like she's called for? There's a number of names now that all of a sudden we're like, okay, let's see where this goes. I mean, what if they bring in a free agent like a Sarah McMahon or somebody like that? Like, there's names out there now that we can pump up with PFL and make that competitive more as well. So let's not count out PFL for making a run for Kayla for another season as well, because it's always easier to dance with the devil you know than the one you don't, and that's home for her. So we'll see. But we talked enough about this one. Let's move on real quick. Over in the co-main event, I was right. Brandon was wrong. I said Lyndon Vasso's veteran ability, his unorthodox ways, would get the best of Terrell Fortune. He did win via split decision. He took Fortune's back a couple times, kind of controlled him on the ground. On the feet, Fortune kind of got the best of it a few times. Brandon, what did you think of that fight?
Yeah, like I said, I thought Fortune was going to win this fight because I thought his wrestling would be able to take out Vassell. Like I said in the preview, I said that Vassell likes to control people. That's his game break. He likes to take them down and control them. And I didn't think he would be able to do that to Fortune. He proved me wrong because that's what he did. He took him down, controlled him, taking his back. He had that control time up. So that's really, that's really the story of the fight. That's how he won. He just basically controlled him for the fight.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Fortune had his moments, but not enough to where we could be like, okay, let's see what's next for him, because I think that's Fortune's problem. It's been his problem his entire career. He's supposed to be this next big guy, and then when it comes time, it's like, all right, where are you? Where'd you go? He kind of disappears from the spotlight, and has a loss and just kind of like stumbles and then bounces back with a few knockouts, and we're like, okay, he's next, and then he kind of stumbles again. So, we'll see what happens with Fortune again. Vassal's an aging veteran. He's just kind of making a paycheck at this point. I don't expect much more noise from him, but they could even run this back. It was a split decision. Maybe they just run it back. Aaron Pico made some noise. Got the unanimous win against Justin Gonzalez, who was an up-and-comer. One of my favorites. You can check it out right here on Fighters First Network. Cage My IQ interviewed Arlene Blencow, I believe the night before her fight.
After weigh-ins.
Yeah, right after weigh-ins. She took it to Pam Sorensen, got the unanimous win. Little did we know, she almost pulled out of the fight a couple weeks ago with injury, but she fought through it. She didn't get to do as much as she wanted to do. She did finally have a full camp at Jackson's. Unfortunately, she was stuck here for like 6 months because of everything that goes on with coming and going with COVID and traveling to Australia and New Zealand and all those areas. So she obviously going to Australia. It was easier for her to stay here. But she got the win to keep that 145-pound division exciting. She is the number one contender. Obviously, Kat might be getting the next pick because she's brand new blood for Cyborg. They've never fought, and she did just beat Arlene Blencow. But the one thing that Arlene brought up in that interview with Dan is that she was supposed to train for a full fight camp at Jackson's before the Cyborg fight. But because of COVID, because of everything else, she couldn't do it. I would be very interested to see a Cyborg rematch with Arlene having a full camp at Jackson's. I think it would be a completely different story. I think Cyborg still wins that fight, but I think it'd be a more competitive fight than the first one. And she is still the clear-cut number one girl in that division. Nobody else outside of Cyborg has been able to stop her. So we'll see what's next for her. Maybe, if they sign Kayla, maybe that's the first fight. Maybe her and Arlene go at it, and then the winner gets Cyborg. Kind of like a build-up type, like mini tournament, I guess, if Kat gets the Cyborg fight. There's a lot of things you can go with that one. Steve Mowry stayed on his run through Raheem Cleveland. I thought maybe Cleveland could put up a tough fight, but he got caught in a Kimura in the first round. Bruna Ellen got the split decision win against Desiree Yanis. You agree with that decision?
Shoot. Yes. No, I was, I'm trying to think. I'm like, yes, no. I was watching that one because I was just chilling, just waiting, and yes.
I thought it was a close fight. Ferrado got the win over Turnquest. TKO, highlight reel, flying knee.
Yeah, buddy, that was definitely highlight reel material.
Absolutely. Cody Law continues to dominate. Like I said, I couldn't believe he was so low on the card. I thought Scott was trying to push him up. Well, he's definitely making a name for himself. Another knockout. I think you got to put him on the main card next time. Valerie Lareda, always a head turner, I guess you can say. She got the split decision win against Taylor Turner. I did watch that fight. I thought it was a good call. Scores all over the map with that one.
I was going to say, no, Lorela won, but she won by like the skin of her teeth. I mean, there was really nothing really happening in that fight. It wasn't like really that exciting, but she was celebrating like she freaking stopped her or something. So whatever with her dance.
She's got to do her Instagram stuff. She got to make that money. She got to shake a money maker. I'm surprised she doesn't have it. I'm surprised she doesn't. I'm not even going to say it. That'd be insulting. I'm just going to leave it alone. But she's definitely, taking advantage of both worlds, making her money offline or online and obviously in the cage. Hey, Michelle Watterson did it for a number of years with the whole karate hottie thing. Obviously, Valerie's taking it to a whole nother level. But, congrats to her. People want to see it. She's giving it to them. Also on the card, Cortez Acosta got the win over DeReese, unanimous decision. And then Ethan Hughes over CB with a TKO ground and pound round 3. Brandon, anything else stand out on this card before we move on?
And I mean, just want to give a big ups to Aaron Pico, man. Did his thing, 3 rounds. I think that's his first time ever going to the to a decision. And which he said in his post fight interview that he wanted to do this. He wanted to see if he really could go, 3 rounds, just get that time and get that work in. And saying he looked good, man. His control, his ground and pound was nice. But also, too, man, shout-outs to Justin Gonzalez, man. He took some serious body shots and kept on going. You know me, I always say body shots in fights. But Justin Gonzalez was taking them, and he still kept on going.
Take out the body, then you take out the head. I think that was the only thing that stopped Pico. He didn't really go for the head. but he had a great performance. Sorry, I just opened something. I was like, what? Real quick before we move on to our picks and our news and our rant, mention real quick BKFC. I know Brandon's favorite.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if you were going to talk about your girl Pearl Gonzalez. I was waiting for it.
First of all, I'm a Bret Hart fan, so stop that.
Right, my guy.
Go back to the Page fight. What did I say?
Man, that was
I've been shouting out Bret Hart for a while.
That was Page, but this is Pearl Gonzalez. I know you.
I'm a fan of Pearl, but you know very well that Bret Hart is the truth.
Okay.
I mean, you
I
can't.
don't know about that fight. I don't know if Hart won that fight, but okay.
You can go back and forth on that one. But
I'm saying, man, dude, the stats were saying something else.
Brandon, let me mention the fight first before we.
Okay, all right, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Co-host. Man, Brandon's on one today. I love it.
Yo,
I know the fans at home love
less,
it.
Fight more, don't you know? Come on.
Yeah, but you're talking a lot. No, but man, I love it. I love when you're animated like this. Real quick though, BKFC had their event on November 12th, headlined by former UFC and Bellator fighter Hector Lombard. He got beat by Lorenzo Hunt. They had a lot of bad blood going into this one. They had a really interesting confrontation from the press conferences and the face-offs and everything. That was for the light heavyweight title. Lorenzo Hunt got that win by decision. Palomino got the win over Dat Nguyen, who's extremely tough for their lightweight title. And then now it's not Britton Hart anymore. It's Britton Beltran. They got married, her and Joey Beltran. So it is Britton Beltran now. She got the win over Pearl. Very back and forth fight. I saw it. I thought Britton won, but it was razor close. I think Pearl just took a few minutes to really kind of get started. And then I thought Britton finished a little stronger. That's my opinion. You thought Pearl won?
I mean, if you look at those stats, she landed more, threw less. Bigger rounds. I'm saying, but she landed more, threw less in those body shots that she was hitting her with. I mean,
I saw the stats. The stats kind of lied in that one because the rounds that I saw, like the ones that Britton won, clearly she won. And then there were a couple, they were especially one round, I think it was like the second or third round, that Pearl just kind of had a really good round. She kind of found her rhythm. And then later, Britton kind of finished it off strong. I thought it was a good decision. But we're not going to see a rematch because Pearl already said that was her last BKFC fight. She did it. She's now moving on to something different.
Sweet.
So maybe she wants to go back to MMA. Maybe she wants to do something different. She's been trying to find her footing ever since she left the UFC. Obviously, she went to Invicta. Now she went to BKFC. She's bounced from different camps and training different things. And she's just kind of, from everything I see online, she's kind of trying to find herself a little bit. So I hope she does. She's an entertaining fighter from a pro point of view. She does have good hands. I think she needs to learn on getting her head off a straight line and kind of moving her head with her body. I think she'd be a lot better striker.
Man, that's why she moved to Brooklyn. She hangs out with Serrano. She hangs out with them in Brooklyn. That's why she moved there.
She just moved away from Brooklyn. She's going to do something different now. Yeah.
Oh, she moving back to California?
She didn't say. She just said she moved from Brooklyn. She's doing something different now. On to the next adventure.
All right.
So I'll leave it at that. Trulio knocked out Mike Kyle, and then the last one I'll mention, another MMA, Marcus Brimage got the win over Will Shutt, split draw. I'm sorry, it was a draw, split draw. I just want to mention it because there were some MMA fighters in there. Spent a little bit more time on BKFC than I planned, but
hey, man, it's Pearl Gonzalez, baby. We know you got to talk about Pearl.
Always got to talk about Pearl, kind of like Valerie. They're making their names for themselves. And congrats. That's that. That's our results. I'm going to hop into some news, do a rant, and then get to some picks, and we'll get out of here. This week in MMA, a couple headlines real quick. We were talking about PFL, Fabricio Werdum. Not sure if he's going to keep fighting or resume. He needs to redo his contract. I think he was on a year-to-year type contract. He's not really necessarily looking for more money, but he does need his wife's permission. She wants him to stop fighting. He's 44. He might be interested in sitting down PFL, working out another deal for another year. I think the headline was a little deceiving that he was he wants to, if you want him to compete, he needs to revise his contract. If you actually read it, he doesn't really say that. He's not really looking for more money. He says PFL treated him better than any promotion has the last 20 years. He just, he needs to get with his family and decide if he wants to keep fighting. And for his part, he had that whole debacle in PFL, so maybe he does want to come back and wash, rinse out that bad taste in his mouth and get something going. Or maybe he's ready to go because of everything that happened. Speaking of former UFC heavyweights, Frank Mir, he's going to be headlining the first Triller Triad Combat Revolution. It's such a weird situation that they're going to be doing with this whole thing. Of course, Frank is going to be fighting. I just had the name. I'm sorry. Pulayev in the main event of the first, almost like a mixed rule boxing fight. They're going to be using 8-ounce gloves. They're going to be allowed to clinch. There's still no takedowns, no submissions, no grappling things, no kicks. Still kind of a boxing fight, but you can now kind of dirty box a little bit. They're going to be in a triangle-shaped ring, so it's going to be like a real triangle triad. You can do spinning back fists. You can do Superman punches. Basically, any form of striking with your fists is allowed in this thing. So we'll see how it goes. We know Vitor Belfort called for this. So maybe this gets Triller some more MMA guys coming over, especially those towards the end of their career want to make a few more paydays. Are you interested in watching this?
No.
Yeah, it's kind of my response too. I'm interested in the new thing. I'm always cool for new ideas, but this doesn't really strike out to me like something I really need to watch.
Yeah, I think it just depends on who's really fighting. I've been a Frank Mir fan, but him in boxing, I'm I don't know, Frank. I'm sorry, man. You're more of a grappler guy to me. I know you
did have on his last boxing fight though. He was very he put on a good performance.
Yeah, like I said, I know he's got some, he's got some hands a little bit, but I don't know. I'm just I don't know how I'm really feeling about this. Would I check it out? Maybe somebody said oh, this is on. Maybe I might turn to it, but right now I want to say no. Yeah,
that's kind of how I'm leaning too. Kevin Lee, we knew he was facing a suspension for Adderall. Officially, they negotiated a 6-month suspension. Technically, Adderall is a banned substance unless you declare it. It's listed as an amphetamine, which helps you focus, obviously. So Kevin Lee suspended for 6 months. UFC cut 6 fighters, including Markos, former UFC tough competitor 20. She's had a very up and down career, but she did finish on a win. She says she's not done yet. She would like to do something different. Who knows? Maybe she could pop up in Bellator. PFL doesn't really have a 135-pound fighter. I don't see her going up to 155 pounds.
She's a 115er.
Yeah. I can't even see her making any heavier weight. So maybe she has a couple fights in Bellator. Maybe she does like Sarah Kaufman is and kind of bouncing around the globe trying to find fights now. She's 36, but she wants to keep fighting, so more power to her. Also, other names cut: Andrew Sanchez, Lavina Souza, who was her opponent in the last fight. Surprisingly, Star Poli got cut. Kama Worthy got cut, and then Timu Pakalin also was the other fighter to get cut. Not necessarily cut. They might not be the best words to use it, but they're no longer under contract. Markos fought out her contract, and Dana chose not to renew it. So some of those are just free agents, but they are all off the UFC roster. And then the last bit of news, former UFC bantamweight champion Renan Barao. We talked about Cyborg's weight cutting issues. Renan had very, very famous weight cutting issues. He's going to be fighting at featherweight for the first time since 2019 in Massachusetts coming up soon. So that is this week in MMA. It's time for the rant. We didn't have it last week, and it's kind of a play on what happened last week. It's really – the question really is, Brandon, in 2021, what wins a round in MMA? We talked about it with the Rodriguez-Holloway fight. We talked about it at length last week when we were trying to decide some of these close fights. Is a takedown really a takedown? Before, it almost used to be if you had a takedown in a round, it was crazy, but you pretty much won the round, right? The way the judges used to do it is it was a takedown. They won the round. And that really kind of came to the format of where fighters would try to get a takedown, especially at the end of a round, to kind of steal a round. Since then, the judging kind of has been revised. It's if you have a takedown, but there's no because we're talking about obviously the Covington Usman fight where was it a takedown? Was it a non-takedown? Or does it even matter because there was no damage done when it happened? when you get stuff like that, it really kind of like throws into what wins a round. As a fighter, I want to get your opinion more than anything on this one. What are the qualities? Is it just time control? Is it cage advantage? What are some of the more? I mean, obviously it's all of it, but what are some of the more important qualities to winning a round in your eyes?
I mean, to me, from what I hear always from a judge that I know personally, he says, man, the number one thing that he looks for is damage. That's the number one thing. Let's see who's doing the most damage. So that to me is really the number one thing that people are looking for is the damage. You know, you got the damage, then it's supposed to be, was it effective striking, you know, or, you know, who's hitting who more, I guess, you know, and then it's your, I think it's supposed to be effective jiu-jitsu, I think is another thing, or you know, and then the last thing is just control is like the last thing, like, you know, who's the one leading the dance, like I guess who's the one doing the stalking. But to me, damage is the number one thing. You're doing the most damage, you should be getting your hand raised.
I kind of go back, and this is a different sport, different rules, but I remember vividly talking about the Manny Pacquiao Timothy Bradley fight from a few years ago, where Timothy Bradley upset Pacquiao, and everybody was looking at it. It was like, how did that happen? Mm-hmm. Pacquiao had these flurries, and I would tell people under boxing rules, Timothy Bradley controlled like 2 minutes of each of the 3-minute rounds, pretty much. Like for 2 minutes, Pacquiao wouldn't do anything. He would sit there for 2 minutes and let Bradley throw punches, do whatever, and then for a minute, even less than a minute, some cases, Pacquiao would come out and do a bunch of damage in the last minute. He would just do a flurry, and then the round would be over. And I'm like, under boxing rules, if you win 2 out of the 3 minutes, unless there's like dramatic damage, then they win the round. I go back to Carlos Condit, Nick Diaz a number of years ago, where Condit kept outpointing him the whole time. Yeah, Diaz would have flurries, but Condit, even though he was going backwards, was landing. Yep. I go back to Floyd Mayweather and De La Hoya, another boxing situation where Floyd just kept peppering him with jabs and doing this and that. De La Hoya would have flurries, and all the fans at home were screaming De La Hoya was winning. But clearly on the scorecards, Floyd was winning because he was pointing his way to a victory. In MMA, it's obviously different because you have takedowns, you have submissions, you have all these different grappling things. But I don't think there's a firm thing. I sat there and saw just this week, Arlene Blencow posted the judging breakdown from her fight. And the way it was written on the scorecards, it wasn't like the scorecard where you just see 10-9, 10-9, 10-9 or whatever. It was the one that broke down per minute of each round. And what they would do is like say who won each minute of the round as they were scoring. And almost every round she'd win like 3 or 4 of the minutes out of the round. And of course she did win the decision. To me, I think it should be arguably if you win most of the round and if there's not significant damage, whether it's on the ground or on the feet, it shouldn't matter. Because it is a mixed rules contest. I don't think takedowns should matter unless there's damage done or submissions done. I think it's just a matter of a move. It's like no different than throwing a good punch. If you knock somebody down, you knock somebody down. But if they do stuff, I think that should be the deciding factor. I think that if you control a majority of the round, and unless there's significant damage done, that should be a win for a round. But that's not always the case with MMA judging. I'll give you the last word on this thing before we move on to our picks.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else for that. No. Oh, no. I mean, like I said, it's all, to me, when you're judging, really, like, I'm not sure if there really is, like, I feel like saying, like, they do have, like, judging seminars and stuff like that. But to me, it's all subjective because I remember back in the day, like you think of somebody like Cecil Peoples when he would judge, he was not a fan of low kicks. He didn't really think low kicks should count, and people would throw low kicks all the time, you know. And then but he wouldn't score them high. They didn't mean anything to him, you know. So I mean, to me, man, this is one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of open scoring because you don't know what those judges are looking for. some judges they might favor leg kicks. They might favor hands more. They might favor takedowns more. But hey, if you have open scoring, at least you know where you are. You know what the judges are looking at.
No, I agree with you. 100%. It just goes to another debate on MMA judging that we have until the end of time. That's our rant this week. We're going to make some picks and get out of here. UFC Vegas 43 this weekend. The return of Miesha Tate, her second appearance back since her retirement ended. Of course, she beat Marion Renault in her return. She's fighting super tough Caitlin Vieira. Caitlin Vieira, I think, is coming off a loss as well. Who do you got in this fight and why?
Man, I mean, I could just be a hater because I kind of am a hater sometimes, especially on certain people. But
sometimes,
sometimes I'm gonna go with Caitlin Vieira. I think as long as she can keep this fight standing up, she'll get her hand raised. If Miesha Tate takes her down, this could be a Miesha Tate fight. But I think Caitlin Vieira, being a big girl, she is kind of big for 135. So I mean, she might have that muscle, might have that strength. But hey, man, Miesha Tate, man, she's looking kind of good. There's like second stand around. Man, I don't know, man. Maybe she has that mom strength going on now. She's looking shredded these days. But I'm just gonna go with Caitlin Vieira. Like I said, man, I think this is gonna be a different fight than your Marion Renault fight. I think people might just been a little too hyped off of that fight, and now Miesha Tate is really gonna go up against somebody who's gonna bring it to her.
Yeah, I don't know if hype's probably the right word. I was impressed by her performance against Renault. Renault's not somebody who usually gets stopped, and Miesha stopped her. Miesha does look like she's in great shape. She's obviously been training for the return for a while. She first brought it up to Dana back in 2020. He basically ghosted her. He wouldn't even respond to her. She had to show up at his office to get another fight. Vieira coming off that loss to Yunitskaya. She didn't look good. Yana dominated that fight. I'm going to go with Miesha, but much like you, I kind of agree with what you were saying. I just think that this second go around, she might be a little bit more motivated, and that might kind of carry her to victory. For her sake, she's talking about if she wins this, she would love to, obviously in 22, 23, her goals, get a rematch with Amanda. She would like to fight Holly. And hell, she even threw out there throwing a third fight with Ronda. I think those are all pipe dreams. She may eventually get a shot at Amanda again just because Amanda's run through so many people and Miesha's a former champ. But other than that, or maybe even Holly Holm, I could see her and Holly fighting again. But it really just – I think Miesha just needs to take it one fight at a time. She wins this, then we can talk about more. Because she is, did have basically her unretirement fight was against a fighter who was retiring. So let's see what she does against a more active competitor against Vieira. Over in the co-main event, I'm picking Miesha, you're picking Vieira. Over in the co-main event, Michael Chiesa versus Sean Brady. I'll go ahead and start on this one. I got Sean Brady all day. I think Chia's the truth. He's coming off kind of a significant layoff because of injuries and everything that happened with COVID and everything else. Chiesa is always incredibly tough. One of the best fighters in that 170-pound division. I got Brady. Who you got in that fight?
Man. Hey, Sean Brady's a local guy, but man, I feel like this is a big jump for him, man, to go to Michael Chiesa. I think Michael Chiesa really wants to bounce back after that Vicente Luque fight, and usually too after Chiesa takes an L, he usually does bounce back with a W. So I'm gonna go with Michael Chiesa on this one. I mean, they're both big boys. They both got wrestling skills. I mean, yes, I think Brady could be the better striker of the two, but I'm just gonna go with Michael Chiesa on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is another toss-up fight. I think, like I said. And Brady is one of Jonathan Webb's guys. We got a lot of love for Jonathan Webb, Webb Fitness MMA, Henzo Gracie, Philly, that whole crew. So love Sean Brady. I think he's got a world of potential. He's undefeated, 14-0. we'll see. This is going to be his toughest test to date, and he's in the co-main event. So this is the spot he wanted. This is the spot he got. Obviously, he was supposed to match up with Kevin Lee a couple times, and things kept happening with those fights. So here we are, him and Michael Chiesa towards the end of the year. So it should be a fun fight. What is your fight pick to look forward to this week?
So you know me, I always got love for my girl JoJo Wood now, no longer called Wood since he's married. But that's not going to be my fight pick this week. I think everybody should always look at it. Exactly.
I left the spot blank because I didn't know where you were going on this.
I know. King of the lady fight is not going to pick a lady fight this week. I'm actually going to go with the fight before that one, and I'm going to go with the Davy Grant, Adrian Yanez fight.
I almost picked this fight. I almost did.
And I'm going with Adrian Yanez to get the W. All-around exciting fighter, a fellow Dr. Pepper lover. So, you know, I got to rock with the guys who like Dr. Pepper out here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dr. Pepper. I'm drinking a Coke this episode. My bad. I love Adrian Yanez. I almost picked that fight too. I was really that and the Pat Sabatini fight were the two fights I was like, but you think Yanez is going to get it done against Davy Grant?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that one as well. I think it's going to be a fun fight. That might even be one of the fight of the nights. My fight pick, actually, I'm going opposite of Brandon. I'm taking the lady fight this time. Loma Lukbumi, she's been fantastic. Just basically running through people left and right. All props to Lupa de Godinez. This is like her third fight in like 6 weeks, I think. She just keeps
down on Cerrone now.
Yeah, every time Dana says you want to fight, she won one, came back the next week, lost. Maybe it's like even 4 or 5 weeks, or maybe even shorter than 6 weeks. And then here she is again against Luke Bumi's opponent. Opponent dropped out, so she stepped up. I think Luke Bumi's going to run through her just like she runs through everybody else. She's a girl that kind of started off, I think she was 2-2 or something like that, and now has won like 4 fights in a row or something like that. When I saw her against Ginn Frey, I kind of knew that this girl can be special, and I think she really will be special. I think the more she kind of learns, you know, the MMA style versus Muay Thai and stuff like that, I think is going to make her more special, and she's obviously super dangerous in the clinch. She's extremely strong for that weight division, so I think she's going to do great fights. This is a really loaded card, though. Big-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu vet, Rani Yaya in the main card against Ho Kang. Your girl JoJo against Talia Santos. That's going to be an incredible fight. You mentioned Davy Grant versus Adrian Yanez. Pat Sabatini, always got love. That's another guy from your region. Sergio was always a big fan of him. Against Tucker Lutz, another up-and-coming 12-1 fighter. Rafa Garcia versus undefeated Nathan Levy. Terrence McKinney going against Faris Ziem. That's going to be a good fight. People won't know about this. McKinney's a really great striker. Ziem looked incredible his last fight. Very long, very rangy. Cody Durden, always fun. He's going against Aori. Shaylin going against Soriano. And then finishing up another ladies fight, Luana Pinheiro versus Sam Hughes. Any other fights kind of stand out on that card before we get out of here?
Nah, man. I mean, you really kind of mentioned them all, man. Like I said, the Pat Sabatini fight is always something, you know. And then of course you're a fight pick. I'm always down to watch a Loma fight, and it should be a good night. Saying you got the two highs. You know, we're coming off another high. You know, with the Max Holloway Rodriguez fight. Let's see how this card goes. You know, before we get down to December 11th.
Yeah, I think this is an absolutely incredible card. Couple things before we get out of here, real quick, because we won't have a show before December 11th. Who you got, Poirier or Oliveira?
I got my boy Poirier, the diamond,
Brandon,
baby.
He froze up right when you were saying that. He did say diamond Poirier. You were like,
Poirier.
I got my, and then it like froze right when you said boy. I heard you though say Dustin Poirier. I'm gonna actually agree with you. I think Poirier's gonna win it. I love Oliveira. I love his story. I love his comeback since he moved to 155. Kind of ran through everybody, but I think this is where the story ends. I just think Poirier is just way too on a hot streak, and I think he's just incredibly talented and he's evolved into this machine right now that he's at the peak of his game. And I think Oliveira has a chance if he gets him to the ground, anything can happen. I know if Oliveira gets Poirier's neck the way McGregor did, Poirier's not getting out of it. I know that much. But we've seen with striking that Oliveira's hit or miss. He got that beautiful check left hook, to steal Tim Wheaton's word, that beautiful check left hook on Chandler. And he came back. He was almost finished in the first round against Chandler and came back with a great second round. So I'm not going to sleep on Oliveira, but I think if Poirier gets him in the damage that Chandler did in the first round, I think the fight's going to be over and it's not going to make it to the second round. That's my opinion on that one.
Yes, I got Nunes. Yes, I got your girl Nunes.
I wasn't even going to go there. I don't think that's a question. I love Juliana Pena, but I think Nunes is going to run right through her. That wasn't a question. Of course, you can catch us on social media. The handles are below. Both Brandon and I will be active throughout the next month. Sorry there won't be any Art of MMA episodes. We're working on some fun stuff to bring you throughout the holiday season while we kind of revamp Art of MMA. We don't know exactly what the format's going to look like next year, but we want to do something new, fun, exciting, kind of like pump up the show. We're over a year old now. We kind of want to, do something new. So I can announce that this is the very last episode of Art of MMA, the podcast. Starting fresh next year, it will be Art of MMA, the show. Just like we evolved to Fighters First, we're going to keep evolving as well as the show. And Brandon and I will be back. You're not done with us. We will be back next year. We're going to do some other fun stuff. Of course, you can catch the mechanic this weekend, UWA Elite. You never know who's going to show up. I mean, it is a wrestling event. I love my wrestling. So you never know who's going to show up. Of course, December 11th, man. We can't wait to see Brandon back in the ring doing what he does. He was super animated today, so maybe that's like the fight starting to come out of him. So I can't wait to see what happens on December 11th. We definitely wish you the best of luck, buddy. Will we be watching? Can't wait for you to drop those promo codes so we can order the fight. But pay attention to Brandon's social media. He's going to drop all that stuff. Go leave a comment on his latest post on USKA talking about his fight. I did leave a comment under Art of MMA. I didn't
appreciate you.
Didn't leave you out. He got a little mad at me yesterday because all I did was share it, and I didn't comment. So I did do that. If you guys have anything you want to talk about, any ideas of things that you think we did really great over the first 58 episodes that you might want to see more of next year, leave a comment. Let us know. Brandon and I always love talking to you. Brandon, you got any final thoughts for the year?
Guys, always a pleasure, talking MMA for you guys, with me and Mike. Please just remember, make sure you check out FightersFirst.shop, buy the merch, support the shows. And yeah, man, 2022 should be a good one. But remember, before that though, saying December 11th, USKA, like saying I make my return to PA, and then say hopefully 2022, man, we'll be getting some more fights in. We might be traveling.
Brandon's gonna be watching that Poirier fight on delay. He's gonna be watching it the next day.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a little busy on December 11th doing his own thing. But yeah, exciting times. 2022 should be fun. On one note, before we do finish this up, shout out to the De Silva family. Always in our thoughts. We lost Sergio almost a year ago in December. So that's always going to be a hard time for us. Last year, we ended the show on a somber note for the year. Came back January with the tribute episode for Sergio. So this year will be exciting for us to kind of start on a little bit of a fresher note. It was very hard on us last year. It's still going to be hard on us when the 1 year anniversary kind of comes by. Both Brandon and I will be definitely thinking about Sergio and his family and his kids and his wife and all that stuff. His friends, Jarrett and all those guys. So just know that his thoughts, like he's never out of our thoughts. As you see on the screen, he'll always be a part of this show, whether it's called the podcast or the show. Sergio is always there. So I just wanted to send that out real quick to the Silva family. We love you guys. Always got your back. If you need anything, always reach out to me, Brandon. We're always here. But that said, hope you guys have a great holiday season. Eat lots of turkey. Have a wonderful holiday, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. It doesn't matter. It's all about spending time with your loved ones, with your family, and the people that care about you. That's why I'm glad to be getting a break from Brandon for a month. I'm just kidding. Brandon's my boy. We fight on the show, but we're friends. It's cool. It's just for show. That said, Brandon, I hope you and your family have a great holidays. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We're going to have a great one. I'm going to be traveling. So that is that. You might see less episodes on the network over the next couple weeks while we enjoy our holidays, but we will keep putting out content throughout the season. So you'll see that. We'll see Art of MMA back next year. That's my long-winded way of saying I'm Mike Ginn. That's Brandon the Mechanic Cuttino. We'll see you in 2022. This is Art of MMA, the podcast, and we're out.